Did you know that around 70% of employees feel disengaged at work? That's a staggering number, especially considering how much time we spend in our jobs. Poor leadership is often at the heart of this problem. According to a recent study, 50% of leaders fail within their first 18 months, and many of them don't even realize why. This failure isn't just a personal loss, it affects teams, organizations, and entire cultures. Think about it. When leaders miss the mark, everyone feels the impact. Trust breaks down, communication falters, and innovation stalls. Yet, many leaders walk into work every day blissfully unaware of the cracks forming beneath them. In this video, we'll explore the hidden pitfalls that trip up even the most confident leaders. We'll dive into why control can be an illusion, how overconfidence can lead to missteps, and why self-awareness is more crucial than you might think. By understanding these common traps, you can start to lead with more clarity and purpose. Are you ready to uncover the surprising truths about leadership? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Control. Why power isn't leadership. Many leaders confuse having authority with being a good leader. But leadership isn't just about telling people what to do. It's about inspiring action and guiding others toward a shared goal. In fact, research from Harvard Business Review shows that 58% of managers say they never received formal management training. That's a staggering number of leaders who are in positions of power without the proper tools to lead effectively. Here's where the illusion of control comes into play. When leaders believe that simply holding power makes them effective, they stop listening and start assuming. Think of it like a captain steering a ship but never looking at the compass. They may have control over the wheel, but without direction, they're leading the team straight into a storm. One strategy to overcome this is shifting from command and control to coach and empower. According to Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, leaders who act as coaches are 60% more likely to build trust within their teams. This approach helps create a sense of shared responsibility, where team members feel empowered to take ownership of their tasks, not just follow orders. Leaders who embrace this idea realize they don't need to have all the answers, they just need to guide the conversation. Another key is developing emotional intelligence. Leaders who can understand and manage their own emotions, as well as those of others, are far more effective in steering their teams in the right direction. Instead of just controlling tasks, they manage relationships, which is the real key to sustainable leadership. Chapter 2. The Confidence Trap. Overestimating your influence. Confidence is often seen as an essential trait in leaders. And it is, until it isn't. Overconfidence is one of the biggest reasons leaders fail, and what's worse is that most don't see it coming. In a study by Zenger Folkman, it was found that leaders in the top 10% for confidence often ranked in the bottom third for leadership effectiveness. The issue isn't confidence itself, but rather the gap between perceived and actual influence. Many leaders fall into the confidence trap by believing that because they have a title or position, people automatically respect or trust them. But in reality, respect is earned through consistent, fair, and open interactions, not by authority alone. One strategy to combat this is regular feedback from the team. Leaders who actively seek feedback are far less likely to fall into the overconfidence trap. Kim Scott, in her book Radical Candor, explains that the best leaders ask for criticism as much as they give it. It's about staying grounded and understanding how others really see you, not just how you think they do. Encourage open conversations, and don't shy away from hearing hard truths. It can prevent a minor issue from snowballing into a full-blown leadership failure. Also, practice active listening. When leaders listen more than they speak, they are in tune with the actual needs and concerns of their team. In turn, this builds trust, which is far more influential than any form of authority. Chapter 3. The Blind Spot of Self-Awareness. When leaders can't see themselves, self-awareness is often talked about but rarely practiced effectively. Many leaders think they are self-aware, but research from the Urich Group shows that only 10–15% of people are truly self-aware. This means that the majority of leaders are operating with blind spots, flaws they can't see but everyone else can. These blind spots lead to poor decision-making, toxic work environments, and ultimately failure. A common blind spot is assuming that what works for one person or situation will work for everyone. Leaders who are unaware of their own limitations often force their strategies or methods onto their teams without considering individual differences. It's like a one-size-fits-all approach to leadership, which rarely works. To combat this, leaders should adopt the habit of self-reflection. This can be as simple as taking 5 minutes at the end of each day to ask, "What did I do well today? Where did I miss the mark?" Journaling or voice memos can be incredibly effective tools for tracking personal growth over time. Another important strategy is the use of 360-degree feedback. This method gathers input from peers, subordinates, and supervisors to provide a well-rounded view of a leader's behavior and impact. Peter Drucker, often called the father of modern management, famously said, "What gets measured gets managed." Regular 360 feedback keeps leaders honest about their strengths and weaknesses. Finally, fostering a culture of humility can make a big difference. Humility doesn't mean downplaying your achievements but being open to learning from anyone, regardless of their rank. Leaders who embrace humility are more likely to recognize their blind spots and course correct before it's too late. If you're finding these insights helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more content on effective leadership strategies. Chapter 4. Team Trust or Bust. The hidden cost of broken relationships. Trust is the foundation of any successful team. Without it, even the most talented group will fail to reach its potential. Surprisingly, a study by PwC found that 55% of leaders believe they have strong relationships with their teams, but only 30% of employees agree. This disconnect is a major reason why leaders fail, often without realizing it. The first step to building trust is transparency. Leaders need to be open about their decisions and the reasoning behind them. A leader who operates behind closed doors will quickly lose the confidence of their team. Transparency creates clarity, and clarity builds trust. According to Stephen M. Covey, author of The Speed of Trust, high trust organizations outperform low trust ones by nearly 300%. That's not just a small difference. Trust can literally make or break a business. Another critical strategy is keeping promises, even the small ones. When leaders make a commitment, no matter how minor, following through is crucial. It's easy to underestimate the power of small promises, but every commitment kept strengthens trust. On the flip side, every broken promise, no matter how small, erodes it. Leaders should also practice vulnerability. This doesn't mean oversharing but being honest about challenges and setbacks. Brené Brown, a leading researcher on vulnerability, says that when leaders show their human side, they actually gain more respect and trust from their teams. Being real fosters connection, and connection strengthens trust. Chapter 5. Leading from the front, but leaving the team behind. Many leaders think they're doing the right thing by charging ahead, leading from the front. While this can be effective in some situations, it often leaves the team feeling disconnected or overwhelmed. In fact, according to a survey by Gallup, only 18% of employees strongly agree that their leaders communicate clearly and consistently. If leaders are too far ahead, they might miss key signals that their team is struggling. The key strategy here is pacing. Great leaders know how to set the pace for their team, fast enough to drive progress, but slow enough to ensure everyone can keep up. One way to manage this balance is by frequently checking in with the team, not just during formal meetings but through informal, day-to-day conversations. These check-ins help leaders gauge the team's energy and whether anyone is feeling left behind. Another strategy is delegation. Leaders who try to do everything themselves end up with burned-out teams. Delegating not only lightens the load but also gives team members the chance to develop their own leadership skills. John Maxwell, a well-known leadership expert, emphasizes that a leader's success is measured by how well they grow others. Leaders should empower their teams by giving them responsibilities, not just tasks. Lastly, involve the team in decision-making. When leaders push forward without consulting their team, it creates a gap in alignment. Collaborative decision-making ensures that everyone is on the same page and moves together. A team that feels heard is much more likely to stay engaged and invested in the leader's vision. If you enjoyed these insights, make sure to subscribe for more tips on becoming an effective leader.